Hey everybody, well hopefully as you read in the email, we are moving, which is crazy to think that a month ago we would have never guessed this. And so we want to give you a little bit more of the backstory behind that. We thought to write this in a prayer letter would have been maybe a third book from us. So
Yeah.
we decided to just put it in video form and share with you guys. So back up about a month ago, Lindsay's sister Leanne, who, if you guys didn't know, we are super close with the Sweeney family. Just helped them move into their house in Lowell, Michigan.
About a year ago.
About a year ago, which is crazy. She came to Madison about a month ago for a conference with Lindsay, and she showed up at our house and said, guess what? There's a house that just became available right next door to us. It's an old farmhouse, beautiful land. And our response was, that's really funny. There's no way we would ever consider that. Life is going excellent here. Ministry is thriving.
Yep.
We love our staff team. We love our community. We love everything about Madison. Maybe in like 5 years we would consider something like that. But no way, it's not the right time. So then you had the conference.
Yeah, and then I went to this IF gathering with my mom and my sister, this women's conference, and the speakers just kind of kept talking about how God uses ordinary people and what does it look like to have a surrendered life to Him. And the Lord is really working on a lot of my pride, I felt like, of just remembering, like, it's up to Him, like He's the one that produces the fruit. And at one point, my sister leaned over, one of the speakers was talking about different breakups we have in our life with friendships or the endings of things, and she wrote, it's time to break up with Madison. And I was like, ugh, annoyed with her. Actually, I was like, this is wrong. This is you don't know what you're talking about. This, where we are, is where God wants me. And I've been here in Madison for 18 years almost now, and so this is my home. And as much as I would love to dream about being near my sister and my family, it's just not in the cards. God doesn't have that for me, so I kind of just dismissed it.
Yeah, so a couple days, actually a day after the conference, we had another conference in Orlando, Florida, and so we took the whole family there. And yeah, I was in meetings almost every day. Lindsay got to do some other stuff with the kids while I was in meetings. But we almost joked on the back end of when you really want something in life, you can like hear every song, every sermon, every book, every article you read against the backdrop of, oh, God must be telling me this truth because I really want it, and now He's lining all these things up. And it was the opposite for us, and especially me. Like, I did not want to move, but I felt like at this conference, everything the speaker was saying, and we had multiple speakers, were poking at me and really just felt God saying, I want you to take this seriously, this house. And having no idea what that meant, being a little frustrated by it again because things have been so good here in Madison, but just really got a sense from my time in Orlando that God wanted us just to open up our hands to the possibility of this. And so the last night in Florida, we just sat down one night, which was awesome. One, that we had time to process all this
Yeah, it felt like the
together.
grace of God that we were in a space where we had time to reflect and pray. And for me especially, that God was doing a lot in my spirit while I was sitting there at the pool with my kids, just trying to help me kind of release control of what I thought my ministry and my life was and was supposed to be.
Yeah, so one night, the last night actually, we sat down and we just said, okay, God, if you want us to consider this, we're willing to do it, but these are the things that you need to do. And so we came up with a really short list of three.
Our Gideon's Fleece, we called it.
But we thought there were three really big things that God would need to do. And the biggest one, number one, was, I mean, the housing market is crazy right now. God, you're going to have to secure this house somehow.
We, at this point, hadn't even barely looked at it online or anything.
Yeah, I mean, we're missionaries. We can't afford 2 mortgages. And so we were dreaming of, like, okay, maybe God's going to allow us some donor to come in and we can rent it out for 5 years and then come back. And so I feel like we can speed this process up. The short end of that is God did show up and answered that first prayer and was able to secure the house through the people who own the house right now. We had found favor in their eyes. They're just an incredible, godly couple. And after a phone call with them and getting no offers the next day, they came back and said, we feel like this house is yours and we're going to take it off the market and just
they felt
hold
like they
for
could
6
do
months.
it. Yep. They felt like the Lord was telling them they needed to just wait. And the crazy thing is they only put the house on the market for sale by owner on March 4th because they felt like that was what the Lord was asking them to do. They didn't really want to leave their house, but really felt like the Lord was telling them their time in this house was ending and it was time for them to go somewhere else. And they don't even exactly know what the Lord is leading them to yet either. But so it was a crazy instant kind of spirit connection with these people. Kind of like we're both just trying to open up and be obedient to the Lord and be patient as he leads us. And so after talking to them on the phone, we decided we're going to go home to Michigan and see this place and see if this is really what the Lord is doing and asking us to move. So we did that about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and it went incredible. We got to sit down and meet with them, pray with them. We were probably at their house and property for 2.5 hours.
Incredible.
Walked away super encouraged and honestly walked away thinking, yeah, this is going to be our house sooner than later. But we still thought it was going to be, we're going to probably figure out a way to buy it and then still rent it for a year or two and finish in Madison. Yep. And so we even left Michigan thinking, okay, it's God's doing some crazy things. That's not what we thought, but our first prayer of him securing the house, he was able to do that. And so many conversations after that, specific one with my regional director. I have felt like I've been in a season of transition for a while, vocationally. I never thought I would move, but I just thought that with my passions to do more stuff, digital and writing, that at some point in the future God was going to align something for me, but never thought I was going to move. And so my regional director sensed that too, and so he had known for a while that as a local team leader, in 5 years I probably was not going to be in that role. And he, through conversation with him, came back with Lindsay and just felt like our time in Madison was up, and him kind of giving us the freedom to just say, I think this is your last semester in Madison and you need to move on to whatever God has for you next.
Yeah, and at this point it is all very bittersweet. I mean, I probably have never cried so much in my life the last few weeks because it's so unexpected, but it has been confirmed by the Lord as he's changed the desires of our hearts. Like, we never wanted to leave this home. We never wanted to leave this community, but slowly the Lord has changed our desires and awakened this dream within us that we always dreamed of living in the country. We always wanted someday to have this life where we could live near our family and our children could grow up with their cousins, but we just never thought that was possible with the calling to campus ministry and really feeling called to Wisconsin. But the Lord started to change our hearts. And so though we've shed a lot of tears as we have had to let go of the dream that, like Brian said, we're living right now, answered prayers, so much fruit, so many answered prayers that we've prayed for years about what we've wanted God to do and how he wanted him to use us and how we wanted to experience him. We're living it. And so to let go of that dream for this new dream that he's awakened in us, and not knowing all the pieces to how that's going to unfold yet, has been really, really hard. But at the same time, God has faithfully met us and has totally, in 1 month, I look at my journals, like, he has changed the desires of my heart, and we both feel very released from here, and we've only gotten confirmation from our community here that clearly the Lord is in this. And one other piece just came together last night that was just like, all right, Lord, we know you're leading.
Yeah, so I'll get to that in a minute. So just to reaffirm, like, we're not leaving because we're running away from something. We're not getting kicked out because of a moral failure. Like, things are thriving here in Madison. Big team ministry is going great. We love our community, and that's really hard because it's like, why would God pick us up and move us? And honestly, we don't know yet. There's some things that we're really excited about that we think he's up to, but we don't fully know yet. So anyway, out of faith, we were like, okay, we if we're going to get this house, we need to do something with this house that we've been in for a while, which we love and put blood, sweat, and tears into over the last 7 years. And so we said, okay, in early May we'll probably list it and just see what God does. But until then, we'll hop on Zillow, which is a real estate site, and you can have a make me move option where you can give a price that's higher than you will probably list it for. In some crazy scenarios, people will bite on that. And so we posted that on Tuesday, correct? It went live on Zillow on Tuesday for our Make Me Move price, which was a decent amount above which we thought we would list it for. Yep. and within an hour, we got a call from a real estate agent saying, "Hey, we have potential buyers that saw your listing just go live. Will you work with us, and can we have a showing?" And so, yes, I mean, at this point, we're excited, but we're not surprised because of everything that God has done. And so yesterday at 1:30, this young couple showed up at our house. They were in it for about 15 minutes. And then at about 6 o'clock, we got an offer from them, which was just a little bit below what we put the Make Me Move for. And at 7 o'clock, we accepted the offer to sell our house to this people.
Yeah, and it's wild and crazy because it has literally been about a month since we even started letting God open us up to the possibility of this house in Lowell, Michigan, next to my sister and her family. And so, yeah, it has been a whirlwind, and yet we have seen the faithfulness of God leading us each step of the way, and we feel like it is an act of obedience and actually great joy to follow God on this crazy adventure that he has us on. And we don't, like Brian said, we don't know all the final pieces yet, but we're really expectant that he is going to keep leading us, and he's going to show us the next steps that he has for us. And we're still just as passionate as we were 1 month ago about how God uses the Ministry of Athletes in Action and the platform of sport to make his name and his glory known. And so we're excited to see how that plays out as we move to Michigan and the role that he has for us in continuing to fulfill the Great Commission.
Yeah, so we still we didn't give you guys the full story. Like, this is still just a highlighted version. So if you are interested, just like give one of us a call and we can give you more of the details of how God has shown up. Because there's some other really cool things that he did. But I mean, we're 12 minutes in and we
stopped watching by now.
We've still hit a lot. So there's much more that has us, we feel like, affirm that God's saying it's time to go, and we just sold our house, so it is time to go. So, but we also know that from your perspective, you're thinking, okay, well, what are you going to do with your time next? And we don't fully know yet. There are some things that we're really excited about that I would love to share with you, but because they're not completely materialized at this point, I want to hold off. And so stay tuned for the next, hopefully, couple months. We'll have clarity on future roles and direction. But hopefully you can hear from our tone, and we are excited. We love doing sports ministry. We love what we get to do with Athletes in Action. We just feel like God is saying your time in Madison is done, and you're probably going to keep doing something similar. We'll see in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area. So stay tuned. We will stay tuned as well, but please continue praying for us that we would hear from God clearly in terms of vocationally what he has next for us, because we are expectant and we're super excited.
Yeah, and you can also be praying as we try to finish well here. We're heading into the last couple weeks of the semester with a big banquet, celebration of what God has done here, big fundraiser for the campus, and then on to Ultimate Training Camp in Minnesota, where we'll serve, where God does amazing things in that through that camp in the lives of athletes all over the country. And then come back here, and we will be closing on June 22nd or June 28th on our house, and be moving in to our new home in Lowell before heading out to Colorado for staff conference and some speaking things Brian's doing this summer that have resulted from the Assist book. So yeah, there's a lot still going on, but we want to be present and we want to be faithful with what God has in front of us. We want to be faithful to share the story of what he's doing. So thanks for listening.
Yep, it is almost 14 minutes. If you've made it the whole way, great job. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys. Love you guys.